us now is Dr. Chris Dede. It's a pleasure to have you on the show, sir.
Well, thank you. It's nice to be here. I appreciate being invited.
Please tell us a little bit about your background.
I do different sorts of things at Harvard University. I teach about learning technologies. I also teach leadership in implementing technologies in schools. And I work at the policy level, most recently on the 2010 National Educational Technology Plan.
How would you define distance education in our day and age?
Well, the definition of distance education has changed quite a bit because it used to be correspondence courses. And now with modern technology, I think most people talk about online learning, that you have some kind of technology mediating between you and a person or something that you're learning from, as opposed to face-to-face learning.
Our global society calls for a new set of skills: collaboration, critical thinking, communication, and the ability to innovate. How can distance education technologies help foster these skills among students?
Well, 21st century skills is something that I think a lot about. And some skills have been with us for a long time, but they've changed in the 21st century. So collaboration now means not only collaborating face-to-face, but collaborating halfway across the world in a virtual workspace with someone that you may never meet. Other skills are really unique to the 21st century. So information filtering. When I grew up, I had to try to find information using the Dewey Decimal System in the library. Today, you filter millions of hits trying to find the information that you want. So online learning is both adding new skills like information filtering, and it's changing perennial skills like collaboration.
Very interesting. You serve on the advisory board and the commission for PBS Teacher Line. Please tell us about PBS Teacher Line and the technologies it utilizes for distance learning.
Well, we know that face-to-face teacher development can't scale to handle all of the needs that teachers have for learning, that we have to find a way to have online learning complement face-to-face teacher professional development. And PBS Teacher Line is a group that has been working for years and years developing some very effective strategies for doing this. They developed a series of courses for teachers that were about 6 weeks in length that helped teachers with content knowledge and with innovative pedagogies, all of this across distance. Then more recently, they've been working on models that help with mentoring and coaching and communities of practice for teachers, which are all ways of taking the human side of professional development and intensifying it. And what we're finding is that blended learning, where it's part face-to-face and part online, is more powerful than either face-to-face alone or online alone. And so new models of teacher professional development are increasingly moving in a blended learning direction.
How do you see PBS Teacher Line and other distance education technologies and platforms evolving over the next several years?
We held a conference at Harvard in 2005 about online professional development, and an enormous amount has changed since then. We have social media that we didn't have before, from Twitter to wikis to blogging. We have immersive interfaces that we didn't have before, where teachers can meet together inside of virtual environments. We have mobile devices that just about every teacher has now, where they can learn any place and any time. So the whole landscape of what's available for teacher professional development has changed, and in many ways we're playing catch-up. We're trying to modify existing models to take advantage of social media and virtual environments and mobile devices, and we're also trying to invent new models that are built around those things rather than adding them on as some kind of an afterthought. So it's a very exciting time to be involved in the field.
I definitely agree. You've done quite a bit of research on augmented reality. Please tell us what augmented reality is and its applications to distance education.
Well, a very simple example of augmented reality is something like the movies with the Terminator in them. where the Terminator looks out at the world and he sees the world, but he also sees superimposed on top of the world information of different kinds. That's an augmented reality. And what we find is that people learn different things when they're in a real-world environment with virtual information and experiences on top of it than they learn if they're in a purely virtual environment where a digital representation of themselves is interacting with the environment. The two complement one another in interesting ways. So now that mobile devices are becoming so prevalent and powerful, people are looking at ways to take the physical real-world scenes that people walk through and augment them so that if you want, you can walk past a building and find out when it was built and what it's for and what the scene looked like in history before the building was built. You can look at a tree and find out what kind of tree it is. You can ask your phone to simulate if global warming continues for another 3 decades, what would the scene look like now? There's an amazing array of possibilities that augmented reality can offer to us.
Sounds great. I'm definitely impressed with all the apps that are available. It's mind-boggling. And the application to teaching, I mean, there's definitely a potential there.
It's moving very quickly, and of course for kids, the cell phone is their infrastructure. They're not laptop people, they're not workstation people, they're cell phone. And so taking the kinds of informal learning they do on cell phones and developing ways to help them learn academic content is an important next step.
Very interesting. I think that many schools, the kids have to turn their cell phones off and they're not allowed to even bring them into class. And I think that I'm wondering how long it'll be before we realize the potential of these mobile devices and start using them.
I think we're going to see a very quick change along those lines. I think that mobile devices are a less expensive way of moving to one-to-one. I think that parents are beginning to realize that they use their mobile devices in powerful ways for learning. And we're developing ways that we can control the content that kids access on their phones when they're in school in the same way that we control what they can see on a workstation or a laptop. So I think we'll see a very rapid shift in the kinds of policies that we have today.
Excellent. It's amazing. What are your thoughts on high tech in Israel and other countries?
Well, there's a lot of countries across the world that are doing powerful things in terms of distance education and online learning. Countries like Australia and Canada face huge distances and relatively isolated areas, so they're doing a lot with online technologies. Countries like Israel are also very innovative in educational technology. A number of professors from there have come to Harvard and worked as visiting scholars at Harvard. They're doing very interesting things with different forms of training technologies and with different kinds of tutoring technologies. So it is truly a complicated area where contributions from all across the world are helping to enrich the field.
Dr. Dede, it's been a great pleasure and privilege to have you on the show. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you so much for asking me. It's terrific to have the opportunity to share ideas with you.
Thank you.
This concludes our special show for today on education. I'm Richard Peretz. Thank you for being with us.